You're listening to DraftKings Network.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
I've been telling you that Pablo Torre is consistently finding that at the end of his curiosities, there are a whole bunch of things that a lot of people would be interested in knowing more about. And I was just saying before he came on with us here that just this weekend with a group of people, I was talking about something that happened in 1973 that if it happened today would be truly amazing. But it happened 50 years ago, and now he's doing a story on that thing. And Pablo, go ahead and tell the crew, because I told all of them that they're going to be interested in the subject matter. Tell them what it is that you're putting out in public.
Yeah, it's the Yankee wife swap story, which I think Greg, as he adjusts his phantom mask, may have a flicker of recognition for.
But say that phrase again, wife swap.
Wife swap, the Yankee wife swap. And you should know that the wife swap part of this undersells the swap. It's a real-life story of something that happened in 1973, as you said, 50 years ago now. And it's about two starting pitchers for the New York Yankees, two best friends, two lefties, two guys who were truly together all of the time, who decided to not just trade wives, and I mean this in the most carnal and romantic ways. I also mean that they traded their kids. They each had two kids, their pets, their furniture, their houses. Really, it was a husband swap. But they changed lives in the middle of their baseball careers. And this was just a thing that happened. And if you remember it, it is arguably the most batshit crazy thing that's ever happened in sports history. But it's been 50 years, and so I just got to, investigate and report out what happened then and after and since. And it culminates in a whole bunch of stuff that I think people probably are into. Purely, again, if you're into crazy batshit gossip and also robots.
Was I right when I said all of you would be interested in learning slightly more about a 1973 wife swap story?
Pablo's right. I remember it. I had just been hired by the Fort Lauderdale Yankees to be their official scorer, even though I was only 18 years old.
Wow.
And I remember at a spring training, Steinbrenner giving a big interview surrounded by reporters about Kekich and Peterson swapping families. And it was the most surreal thing. I wasn't, I was covering high schools at the time. The story had nothing to do with me, but peripherally, I remember the circus. And this is long before ESPN Sports Center, so you're right, Pablo.
We had a man on the ground. You could have been a man on the ground because you were around.
He was there for that.
Right. You were there for that. We just hit the Greg Cody wheelhouse. Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Are you stunned that the Greg Cody wheelhouse is a 1973 story about wife swapping?
Well, it's not like it wasn't covered at the time, but Pablo's right. Compared to how it would be covered today, it wasn't. That's for sure.
Pablo Torre Finds Out is the name of the podcast. It's part of the Le Batard and Friends network. I don't think, Greg, you realize how funny it sounds that because of your breathing and that mask, there's a huffing and puffing quality acoustically to everything you're saying that's echoing off the inside of your mask.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. And whatever actor played the Phantom, I feel for that guy because this is hell on wheels wearing this mask.
That actor did have a $5 mask from Amazon.
$6.39.
Should we just do the reveal so he should stop suffering? I need a ruling from the shipping container on this. Should we what's the payoff here? Because the bruise isn't as bad as it was yesterday. I was hoping it would get worse. It did not.
Really? Why would you hope that?
He apologized to me earlier for it healing so quickly.
I did.
Just visually, not actually health-wise worse. I just wanted it to look a little worse and then everything to get better because it'd make for better content.
Yeah. Well, 3 days ago, my right eye was circled by blood red. I looked like a raccoon, but it was blood red around my right eye. And the healing powers of the human body are pretty remarkable, and now it doesn't look nearly as bad.
All right, well then just reveal it so we can get on with what's happening here and just be done with it. Okay, there's the anticlimax of that.
Ta-da!
Yes, there it is.
So, I mean,
we should have just kept the mask on.
Ah!
Whoa! It's healing.
Wow.
So,
Dan, you happy now?
Yes, better.
Wait,
better,
can we?
okay.
Can you create a T-shirt with Greg's face and the caption is the healing powers of the human body are remarkable?
He's hideous.
He's hideous. Thank you, Mike.
Pablo, there are a number of different things that I want to talk to you about, but one of them is the back page of the New York Post, Joel Embiid and everything happening in New York, because Miami fans have something to be happy about in the next couple of rounds. Either Boston or New York is guaranteed to lose.
Is Pablo a Sixers fan or a Knicks fan today?
I don't know. Let's see where we are with all of this, Pablo. Take us through this back page cover.
Yeah, so Joel Embiid, if you're not familiar, as we wait for the back page to pop up here, Joel Embiid, his body feels like Greg's face looks. So he's not well right now, okay? But the most hated man in New York is the big 200-point font on the back page of the Post. Knicks fans set to tell Embiid how they really feel. And at this point, it just feels like bullying. I've spent the weekend reflecting on how I've been handling this story, and I have criticism for Embiid in a way that makes me feel like a guy who turned heel. That's what Mina told us, Dan and me on our group chat. What an incredible heel turn for Pablo to start killing Joel Embiid and get all these Sixers fans mad at him. And at this point, when I say to you, okay, that Joel Embiid had 1 point in the fourth quarter of this last game, that he had 0 rebounds in the fourth quarter of the previous game, that in the first 2 games he had 0 rebounds, I believe in the second half, or whatever it is. Lots of zeros when it comes to that guy. He had 1 point in the fourth quarter. So look, to me, it's just stating the obvious. And the fact that he is the most hated man in New York feels like this city's appreciation for a punching bag, for a piñata. It feels like it's piñata season on Joel Embiid.
Pablo,
so I feel for him, but
Pablo,
come on.
look, this is what is so great, fascinating, humanizing about all the storytelling that is in sports that's so wonderful. New York, Stugotz, is about to get so obnoxious.
Yes.
So obnoxious.
Yep.
And in comes the guy uniquely qualified in body type and character
To handle?
No, not to handle this, just to be a troll. And after 3 years of my body works perfect, and look here, Chop, I'm bigger than everyone, Chop, and all he is a troll, and he's welcoming the fight. But now he's got Bell's palsy, Stugotz. His face is drooping. He can't blink his left eye.
He should be wearing a phantom mask.
I thought you were talking
Embiid
about
should be wearing
Taylor.
one.
We're going to go to Taylor. He's on a train. He's almost arrived at Madison Square Garden. But what's
Insane
about
that
to
you've done
fall on Embiid's head, Pablo? This is the place where people are made into either heroes or crushed under it, because I would not want to be him headed into that.
Yes, the superpower of New York, the real thing New York City can sell is that it has this spotlight that actually melts people. It's a thing. That building specifically, more than Yankee Stadium even, that building is a spotlight. You shine on people, and you see whether you can actually destroy them. And Joel Embiid in the fourth quarter, the reason I say the fourth quarter is because it is a proxy for pressure. And pressure has never felt more palpable than in the Garden when it's sold out and the Knicks are onto something. And they're onto it.
No, and they just trampled your building, so that after the game, you're saying you're pissed off because New York, hey, wasn't Philadelphia sports town. Stugotz, I would not want to be Joel Embiid. My body doesn't work right. The stress is in my face. It doesn't allow my left eye to blink. New York is coming for me, and I don't know what to do about their little guy. And then they start offensive rebounding, and I can't get Hartenstein off my back. Like, I wouldn't want to be him tonight, and these are the nights. Hey, Joel, MVP, can you put up 50 even though your body doesn't work?
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but Joel Embiid's going to be fine either way.
I'm just saying it would scare me is all I'm saying.
I understand, but Joel Embiid lives in this place where if he wins, great. We'll celebrate him tomorrow. And if he loses, no one's going to blame Joel Embiid because he'll blame everyone else.
He cares very much. He's playing the way that he is because his body is broken.
Yep.
No human being with their body in this condition would want this set of circumstances falling on their head.
It depends on the athlete, Dan. Some athletes welcome this.
Okay,
Michael welcomed this.
Not if your body doesn't work right, Stugotz.
You remember the flu game?
Not if the Bell's palsy is in your face. It's a stress disease.
I understand, but the great athletes, they look forward to tonight, to shutting up that crowd. Say whatever you want. I'm going to shut you up. We're going back to Philly for Game 6.
And I am telling you, as we sit here today, I'm not as brave or strong as the great athletes. I would fall apart under these conditions.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that I've watched Joel Embiid now for almost a decade, and I have not seen, and this is the criticism I have of him, he has not risen to those moments. I got people really mad at me because I said he needed to step up in a big game, and of course he scored. He has the greatest postseason resume this postseason of his entire career. He scored 50 the other night. And that is still true alongside the fact that at the end of a game, it doesn't look like he is seizing the moment. And I get that this makes me sound like a sport. Every Philadelphia sports fan, I suppose, which I count myself as in the last decade, for the Sixers, we turn into sports radio callers because by the end of it, you're just yelling at your television and saying to somebody, be better. And yet with Joel Embiid, I do think that he has not shown a comfort under pressure. And when you're the guy who's the troll, when you're the guy who is so fun because you look like you don't give a the fact that you look like you're giving every single F, sorry, Roy, that's the problem now. Is that, oh, right, you're the opposite of your brand now. You look scared and broken. And the latter, I understand physically. The former is what makes me want to call into a radio station.
It's fascinating, just storyline from the idea that if you're watching this the way Pablo is, from the start of the process, this is 15 years of Northeast basketball. Mm-hmm. New York hasn't mattered for 15 years. Philadelphia has been building, and all they have to show for losing on purpose and embarrassing themselves is this broken thing that now falls under the light of the magnifying glass when the sun is burning ants. It's like, you're what's left of this. Go save it in Madison Square Garden under impossible conditions. Except you're the best player on the floor. You're the MVP.
Yes. Yes,
this is where these stories get made, Stugotz.
You're calling these impossible conditions. He has a great number 2 in Maxey. The team is good. They made a mistake with Jimmy Butler over to...
I'm talking about his body, Stugotz.
I get, Dan, I get the body part. But
you don't, though, is what I'm saying. You don't.
He's still playing at a very high level, even while broken.
I know, but you're asking him to play at a higher level.
Yep. Flu game.
Okay. It's like watching a 7-foot Greg Cody play center. That's what Joel Embiid has been like all year.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's a compliment.
It is.
Don Batard.
Our Panther group chat, we're confident against the Lightning. This is a different team.
Yeah. You're a Panther group chat, though.
No, I think no, but dude, you're so wrong on that. We've been terrified of this team forever, and I think there's a different energy where the Panthers, they want the Lightning.
Stugotz.
I want T-shirts made for this Panther run. What could be this Panther run? Our Panther group chat, we're not afraid of the Lightning.
That's a tagline for World War 3.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I'm sitting right in the middle, Stugotz, of a hugely weird sports time in South Florida.
Yeah.
The pandemic made everyone crazy. The last 5 years of pressing the gas on sports. We're going to inundate you with all things in sports. There's been an era of Heat basketball played over the last 5 years. And we have burned through the Jimmy Butler years, the last 15 years. Listen to what I'm going to tell you here. The last 15 years of basketball has been dominated by LeBron James, and he's given us 20% of what his economy is. He birthed a sports movement in a town where nothing won, nothing grew. What he and Dwayne Wade and those guys built is the only thing worth a shit in this town for 20 years in sports. The Dolphins gave us one season. The Panthers have been bad forever. And today, people are tuning in nationally because we're an obnoxious Heat show about to watch Boston and New York play for the top of the conference. And what happened at the arena last night, if you're watching the end of an era, there's something heartbreaking in it. But at the very same time, the Florida Panthers, who Greg Cody's ready to make an announcement about. Are you guys ready? Because Greg Cody came in here, and yes, he's Homer Man, but Greg Cody came in here. Are you ready to make this announcement, the only real big announcement we had today?
I am. I'm ready. The Florida Panthers, for the first time in 30 franchise years, are going to raise the Stanley Cup. They're going to win the championship.
Wow, hoist the cup.
Listen, it's a great season for the NHL. I can never remember as many 100-point teams. Great season, tough competition, I get all that. But the Tkachuk trade turned a key. Paul Maurice is one of the all-time great coaches.
Why are you guys? Hold on. Can I stop you for a second?
Because Roy
Greg?
is rivaling Tony Kornheiser in I got that right at this point. Like, just dejected. I said that.
Well, he said it first. I
said that already.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm in that case, I'm not announcing. I'm reiterating.
Why? Thank you.
Why? Okay.
Piggybacking.
And one more thing. And Bill Zito does not get nearly enough credit.
You're right.
Okay, Dale Talon was an accomplished NHL GM. When they got rid of Dale Talon and brought in this guy who spent his career as an agent, everybody's going, Bill Zito. He has been great. He's made great hires.
I said all.
We've said all.
He said all that.
We've said all.
Everyone has said everything.
First I heard any of this, Greg.
Everything you're saying,
It's all been said.
It's all been said.
Okay, you got to understand one thing. Me maximum.
That's
Until
right.
I say it, it hasn't been said.
Boom.
Okay, understand that.
You're the mayor.
Until I say it, it hasn't been said.
Me maximum. Me maximum. Me maximum.
Me maximum.
Just happened
Me
to
maximum. Yeah. Greg is king and you're his peasants. Me maximum. Yeah. My way is the only way. Yeah. If we share a hotel room, you know who you answer to. Me maximum. You. My comfort is of most importance. Me maximum. You. Say it again so they can hear it in the back. Yeah. When you are the patriarch, no one else's feelings matter. Vacation, me maximum. Restaurant, me maximum. Article, me maximum. Cody Show, me maximum. PFBI, me maximum. Back in my day, me maximum. Hee-haw 3, me maximum. It's hee-haw me. Blake, yeah.
I think it's an excellent lean in. You should lean in absolutely to I'm going to be self-involved, self-absorbed media member.
That kind of thing. And you know it. Pride of a lion. Boat shoe. Miller Lite. In my garage. All night. Falling down. Getting hurt. That kind of thing. Yeah.
All right.
So good.
All right. But the point, Stugotz, I'm saying, I know that we can be hardened media sports people post 50 years old. This is an old room covering sports in this town for a long time. And we haven't had, I don't think, a night that felt quite like last night when I pair what happens with the Heat, where you're like, ooh, okay, Boston got better, and this is their prime, and Jason Tatum's played in a lot of important games, and he's 25, 26, and they got hurt at the wrong time, and maybe the Heat can recover and fix it this offseason, but it feels like these two teams have been fighting at the top for 5 years, and now one of the tires is blown off, and in the other corner of our city, the hockey team, the most championship-worthy thing we've had in hockey down here, and it's just really good and exciting. Take out that specific opponent that specific way. 6-1, get out of here. Your style of play dominated, but our style wins now. To beat that team that way, you could put it at the height of as good as Panthers fans have ever felt about their team's chances.
Have ever felt, yeah. Probably. Last night felt like a changing of the guard in multiple respects, not just hockey in state, which it would appear, and they've got a ton of salary cap questions to answer, but it would appear that we are potentially at the end of this Tampa Bay run. What a glorious run.
A run that built hockey in all of Florida. Tampa is a legitimate hockey town business.
What a bar to set. And even in last year's Stanley Cup run, something was missing for the Florida Panthers. It was the ability to go through Tampa. Now, I don't think Tampa has the same opinion of Florida that Florida has of Tampa, because Florida's always been chasing Tampa. But it felt like a changing of the guard in the state, and locally, it felt like a changing of the guard for your bandwidth, for your attention, for who is most championship ready. Now I have actual legitimate confidence that the Miami Heat will fix this offseason, because I don't think there's ever been a season in recent memory, very recent memory, where they've been told so definitively they are far away. That this isn't something that you can coach your way through, that there is a talent disparity in this conference in particular that needs to be addressed. I don't think that they've ever had the message sent to them so clearly. They will fix it. But back to Florida. It is absolutely their time. This is the championship window. It may continue for a few years. That's the expectation. You got a lot of young talent locked up to long-term contracts, but you got Montour and you got Reinhart, and you don't have enough money to pay both of them, it would seem right now. You locked it up for Forsling.
No, now's the time.
Thank God. But now is the time.
Very obviously, if you've got divided attentions, okay, and people are here for the Heat tears today, and we will give them to you, except Jeremy has just popped up out of nowhere. He's not going to give you the Heat tears, I don't think.
Why are you here?
Why are you here?
It's my job.
Oh,
but Ethan's here.
We were doing just fine. Your job was being done. I don't know why you had to come in right now. Do you want to celebrate the Panthers?
No, it's fine. I'll go.
You want to celebrate getting Miami's fourth-string quarterback?
Hey, welcome, Jeremy.
I would say this, Dan, that whatever we got from Jimmy Butler over the last 5 years is a lot more than we all expected.
Worth it. But we'll get back to that in a second, because we will. I'm going to stay here for a while today. Stugotz, you know the local hour is always my favorite hour.
Right.
And when seminal stuff happens in this town, where you're part of the fabric of the story of the last 15 years told in sports. Stugotz, what's happening with this Panther team, okay? A couple of years ago, that Lightning team showed you that style. No, get it out of here. We were excited about it. We were excited about a high-flying hockey team headed into the...
But we didn't know about hockey back then.
We didn't understand that you've got to play like this. Well, don't play like that. Play like this. That's what we know. We don't know much else. We know. Don't play. Look, Tampa play like that, and we play like this. Don't play like that. That loses to this. Okay, now we're this.
You know, we also know something else.
Now we're this, and you're that.
Nice
we also
breakdown.
know something else. A couple years ago, Bob bad. Now...
Better.
Good.
Bob better.
Barkov
Good,
bad.
Bob.
Barkov line now good.
Yeah.
Barkov line was bad. Barkov bad.
Defense was bad. Now, good.
Yeah,
Good defense.
Barkov, while the point production wasn't there for a little bit, the defensive performances certainly were. And you can't talk about this series without acknowledging, first and foremost, I think, 5 players in NHL history have had 100-assist seasons like Nikita Kucherov just had. And he was very frustrating if you were a Tampa
quiet.
Bay.
I don't know what it's like to watch Tampa hockey and have it be that quiet.
He was largely erased, especially on the special teams unit that he does the most damage as a power play maven. He was promptly erased by guys like Barkov, Stenlin when he was in PK2. Forsling was just torturing him all series long, and he showed you that he's a bit of a specialty player. There's a lot of things that he can do, but what he does best can be erased when the intensity goes up to a certain level. And as we said yesterday, it's quantifiable. Totals go down, hits go up, block shots go up in the playoffs. You're playing a different game. The Panthers had to find that out because of Tampa. And I am so happy that this story has Florida doing that to Tampa, because it was really missing from the last run that they had last summer.
My favorite part of last night, and Roy, I want to know if you got in on this in the press box, was late in the game. I think we were up like 5-6-1. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, nah, nah.
You cannot
nah.
get into that in the press box.
I did not do that.
Did you hum along with it?
No.
A little hum?
No.
The
Little
whole
toe tap?
It was
Little toe
so
tap?
loud. Like, it was the loudest I'd ever heard that song. It felt so good. That was the moment. It just felt like we were finally having our moment with the Lightning.
The barn was just top notch last night, and where in previous playoff matchups between these two teams, you saw some blue sweaters and a fairly good amount of road representation. Not at all the case in this series, unless it shifted over to Tampa, where you saw a lot more red jerseys than you have in previous series. I know, I've been there. The state has changed.
I love journalist Chris Cody imagining that in the press box, Roy Bellamy is doing that chant.
He was tapping along.
He was.
Come on, Roy.
No, I had a smile on my face when it happened. I was not tapping.
Dworky and Belly
That's essentially a
were singing
breakdance routine.
Right.
Come on, Dworky. Was Dworky singing?
No, he wasn't there. Spring break with his kids.
What?
So he's back at Casa Dwork.
Jesus.
Casa Dwork.
Jeez.
We were thinking of new names for that show.
Yeah.
Dork belly.
I love that.
Belly boys.
Dork belly.
Dork belly. Belly.
Well, because we
belly
found
and dorky.
we found out that Roy in the hockey world is known as Belly, and everyone calls him Belly.
That's a hockey thing, yeah.
One person called me Belly, and that's what you got from that?
Yes.
No
hockey
falsehoods. You
That's all
had
it takes.
you had an interview last week on Puck Boys where the guest was calling you Belly the entire interview. In the video we saw from Tampa, Dworky was calling you Belly.
Belly Laughs is a good podcast
wow.
name. Belly Laughs.
You guys really want me to change the
No,
name? of this?
Dwork.
Well, we're having it's a
better
struggling.
name,
I'm going to
We
say
want
it's a-
hockey, Roy.
I'm
It's
gonna
called
say-
the hockey show.
I'm going to say it's a struggling hockey show.
It's
Whoa.
struggling?
Wow.
It already got a
struggling.
spin-off.
Yeah.
All right. Doesn't mean it can't soar to great heavens
Get better.
because
It
Should that be the
travels.
title?
I don't necessarily
Started.
think Tampa Bay Lightning trivia was a step in the right direction.
yes, it was. That was the beginning of a soaring ascent into whatever belly dork,
with taxi
or
into the
dork
runway.
belly.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever it is that it becomes, but
The Boulin Wall was a good tidbit.
When
for
you
those.
asked the name of the Panthers goalie when they made the finals in 1996, and you said he's named after a bug, what bug were you thinking of?
A hornet. What bug do you think I was thinking of?
a bee.
It's a bee.
Yeah, but it's
Beezer.
Van
Right.
Beesbrook.
Yeah, Howard the
Beezer.
Beezer.
He's called the Beezer.
Famously had a bee on the back of his mask.
Yes.
See, some of us have been
Damn
watching
it.
hockey. We're in
Roy,
original 7
Roy,
market.
Do you not get your own joke?
Who do we want next? Is what I want to know. Carolina or
hornet?
As
Boston?
sarcasm.
Well, it's either Toronto or Boston.
Yeah.
Close, Billy.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm watching here.
I appreciate you guys celebrating today. You do have Boston and the Rangers coming up.
I wasn't sure if there was a seeding.
I think
or
it's going to
what,
be.
you know?
I think it's going to be the Canes that come out of that matchup with the Rangers. But sure, but they're all great teams in the East.
Right? Okay, but the Rangers, Stugotz, I don't know
good.
whether I'm going to. Well, no, they're the best, right? They won the Biden's Cup.
Yeah, President's Trophy.
President's Trophy.
Means
Yes.
nothing.
That's cursed.
Right.
The Biden Cup's cursed. Everybody knows
It
that.
is
But
cursed.
Greg Cody was laughing at his son. I will tell you, Chris, that absorbing this on behalf of the audience while understanding exactly the emotion of being near the Sawgrass Mall, singing na 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 at the Tampa Bay Lightning, I can totally see how Cody's kid, his heart soars, loving sports, and it feels like an emotional moment because you're knocking out that team. It means something. They're worthy champions. Like that team is terrifying, and that organization has made taught Florida Panthers what they had to do in hockey, and then they trade for Tkachuk, and everything changes. And now Tkachuk is looking at Barkov and saying, he's been amazing. He wins all the faceoffs. It's all the hits, all the blocks. Like, Barkov is out there look, I don't think there's been a hockey player who's disappointed Mike more than Barkov over the last few years. You hate him in the playoffs.
Well, no, Bob and Barkey during the runs that didn't end with the Stanley Cup Finals appearance that ended at the feet of the Tampa Bay Lightning. They would go missing. They were inconsistent. Barkey, he's a tricky player to even talk about because he does a lot of things that you really need to know hockey to realize what he does. So I'm really happy that he had that type of performance, a game-winning shorthanded goal, and then the second goal to bag a brace to really show people why exactly he wears a captaincy, because he's a bit of a different type of leader.
It was offensively you were disappointed in the series prior.
In the series prior. Like defensively, he would always do it, even though we had a much better game plan this time.
Barkov has been complained about more during the postseason here the last 3 years than any other Panther I can think of.
Ekblad was up there.
Yeah,
Well, he was hurt. He's been hurt.
Ekblad is always going to be hurt, and that's part of the evaluation that you do right now. But Barkey, now that Patrice Bergeron has moved on, Barkey is the best two-way center in that sport. You can make a solid argument for, and I don't know what the award is called.
Selke Trophy.
The Selke Trophy. But he should perennially be named a finalist. By the way, Bobrovsky, a finalist yesterday, was named for the Vezina. He started a little slow, but then he got stronger as the game went on, and I think it's hugely imperative for their playoff and championship chances that they get this rest now, not just for Sam Bennett, but also it seemed as though Bobrovsky, especially in that Game 4, was showing you could use a bit of a breather.
Don Batard.
World War III.
Stugotz.
We're going to get that off the ground.
World War III, our group chat has a pretty good feeling about this one.
This is the Don Lebatar Show with the Stugotz.
Greg, why were you laughing at your son's emotion? Because I can see Chris Cody finding that to be a swelling moment.
Goosies.
And I can think the audience is listening to that and being like, hey, kiddo, first round.
But I'm saying,
well,
it's
that
this
too.
team.
That
It was
too.
the
I
moment.
just did it to him.
It really was the crowd sensing the moment of like, we finally have our moment with this team to send them home, and we have the upper hand. And Roy's been in this longer than all of us, so I actually thought that he would be moved there. So maybe you don't sing along, but you are enjoying that moment.
I think every year outside of one, Roy's always been about all the smoke when it came to Tampa, because he knows for us to get to where we need to go, it needed to go through Tampa for it to feel right. And we have that missing Thanos ring now.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I'm already on the Bruins or Maple Leafs for the next round. Now we got to prepare for this one.
Am I the only person who heard that chant as a little bit disrespectful?
Hold on a second, Greg. I don't understand.
Roy's on to Cincinnati.
Roy, I really don't understand. Roy, your fandom is one of the strangest things I've ever seen. You give press conference at the end, I'm on to Toronto. I'm on to Boston. As if you have to focus like a coach on the next game plan. Can't get too high, can't get too low. Like, what are you doing?
Dan. This was the first round.
Yeah.
We got a lot of hockey left.
Act like you've been there before.
I already said that.
Right.
I would like to shout out, and if you go to the Batard AF shop, you know that the group chat had a good feeling about this. Because we
tried to tell you.
We have won World War III, but that was just a key battle.
These are good shirts. These are like I am sure that this will be over the arena because these are shirts for this time in South Florida and this marshland near Sawgrass. We can sell this shirt there.
We continue to build on our original 7 tradition, and World War III is a huge piece of that. We told you exactly how this series was going to go. You stay out of the penalty box largely, and Game 4 was un desastre of epic proportions. But if you stay out of that penalty box largely,
you're better than they are.
You know that you're better 5v5, and I think you can say that for the next round as well. I think there is a talent disparity between Florida and Boston. Toronto's got a lot of talent, but there's a lot of stuff going on there, and I don't think they're going to make it through that series.
The funny thing about last night was it was actually Tampa that was better 5-on-5. They had the most opportunities. They had the most shot attempts. But the Panthers special teams really carried that.
The loudest cheers in the arena last night were the 2 goals taken off. It was amazing. The second one, the first one was clear. It was coming off. Everyone kind of knew. The second one, the arena was 50-50. The Duclair one, that one was close.
If the Sorelli goal is called a goal, maybe they don't change it. But it did go to replay, and they said emphatically the call was confirmed. The ref was pretty quickly there. You cannot like the rule. I'm not crazy about the rule. I think you have to touch the goalie to interfere. Florida's had some goals pulled off the board where there's somebody in the crease, and they're not actually affecting the goalie, but it's still called interference. Letter of the law, you're in that crease of your own volition and not pushed into it, that's goalie interference.
Well, here's the thing. That Tampa's big adjustment in this series was net front presence, and that's what happened. It went against them in that situation. You can't be inside the crease
from Duke.
Anytime.
Little shithousery from Duke.
But John Cooper, after the game, is whimpering his way into the offseason, saying you can't disallow those goals, that everybody should be wearing skirts. The goalkeepers should be wearing
Classic
skirts.
Coop.
It was a bad challenge out of him. The fact that he challenged it, it was a move of desperation, knowing that this is the only thing that I had left. I get where he's coming from on the second goal, and I understand why he challenged that, but
that was a big risk.
He was desperate, though.
You lost a game 6-1. You lost a series 5-1. Pretty lame.
Billy, that's
pretty lame.
Good analysis.
Cheaters never prospered.
That's right. Billy, what was your take? Because here we are in the middle of this. The Marlins get swept by the Nationals.
Yeah.
It's raining.
Keeping an eye on that one.
It was raining.
Still early.
It's still early. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't too early last night. They have a dome for weather, but it was raining at Lone Depot Park. Yeah. And your baseball season is over. They're the worst team in baseball, swept at home by the Nationals, blown out in every game.
Yesterday was just 101-62, Dan, you know?
Yep.
On pace to finish 30 and 132. But who's counting?
But the because I've got the perspective here of Greg Cody's in the middle of this. You remember what this was for him last year, going to the finals with 2 unprecedented runs at eight seeds at the same time.
Not going to happen this year.
No, it's not. Right. Where are you with what last night was between the two sports in terms of being a historic Miami night? The Heat might as well not even take the flight to Boston.
They should save the money and give their travel expenses to charity.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I have that series coming back here.
Yeah, I'm not doubting Coach Spo. No, you guys can doubt him. At your own peril.
Go ahead.
I have full faith in this man.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, come on.
I feel so bad for Spoelstra. He's giving serious minutes to Patty Mills.
Look,
he's desperate.
He's got paid.
My opinions on the Heat have been really on the macro level. If you listen back to the parade of gas bags, my opinions aged the most gracefully. I wasn't the one out there doubting them game by game, saying that this is going to be a sweep. They're not going to get a game. He's the best coach in the NBA, folks. Learn some respect.
Patty Mills is on the Heat.
Should give him some minutes to Cole Swider. Tried to tell him.
He was
looking loose yesterday morning.
You did try to tell him. You did have the good coaching analysis. You tried to give him a
Looked in
move.
his eyes, and I said, that's a loose man right there.
Not more Kevin Love minutes. I'll analyze the Heat stuff in a second. Their offense is very limited, okay? If you have the entirety of a series I mean, these games in the 80s, I don't even recognize games in the 80s in the sport anymore. And they are particularly ill-suited for referees allowing people to play a little longer so they can't have their free throw advantage.
Heat fandom is largely a poison, and I submit as evidence the victory lap, I guess you could call it that people were calling what had happened in Phoenix and taking a screenshot of their bench and saying some Heat fans wanted this. Yeah, I think it plays out differently with Spo than Vogel and with Miami's front office and leadership than it does with Phoenix's. Are you seriously flexing when you're scoring 80 points, bro?
Well, but you're going back and forth off of being right about this Heat team or not, and I will analyze what comes next for the Heat in the next segment, because I do think
it's Game 5, right?
Yes,
better get to it today.
Yes, we better get to it. Jeremy has now returned to the room. I'm sure he is hopeful and still waving the Heat flag, I'm guessing.
I mean, it's going to be really tough. Their offense can't do anything. They're undermanned, and when you're, instead of playing Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, you're getting minutes from Patty Mills, DeLon Wright, who's been as productive as you can expect him to be. Your offense is going to completely fall apart, and that's what it's done. What's crazy is that the Heat have outscored the Celtics when Bam Adebayo is on the floor. It's just the minutes where he's not there, they've been outscored by 40, and it's just a disaster in that regard.
It's the same in Philadelphia's series. Embiid leaves the court, and the plus-minus numbers are crazy. Like, he can't leave the court. But I do think one of the things that happens with injury when you steam through these things, Stugotz, I mean, Duncan Robinson was a really useful player for them all year when they looked to be good at offense, and physically he's not right. Rozier's not right. They traded for him because Hero wasn't right. Jimmy Butler's not right. All of that stuff is a bunch of injury hoo-ha, but it wasn't but 2 months ago that I would have said the Heat at their healthiest best had a chance against Boston in this series. This team does not have a chance against Boston in this series. There's no coming back 3 games. I don't think they're going to win in Boston either, but the offense cannot do anything if you haven't, I said at the beginning of the series, Boston's better at defense than Miami's at offense, and Miami is better at, and Miami's better at nothing. Miami's better at nothing. They made 23 threes.
Yeah.
Yep. The shame of it is their defense has been good enough to hold Boston to about 100 points, but they're scoring 80, and that's never going to cut it.
Greg?
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.